Reflections on the last 20 minutes. I wanted to start there because to me, the exercises you guys did at the table and the level of engagement that I could see in people's eyes was really kind of the epitome of the SVP experience to me. Okay, we kind of started out, we got to know each other, and all of a sudden, we got engaged. We started connecting with people. And before we knew it, we kind of reframed the way that we thought about people across the table who we didn't know 15 minutes before. And that, to me, is really the essence of what happens here. And as Paul mentioned, I got into this in 2005. I had sold a company that I had founded in the biotech space, and I was thinking, what the heck am I going to do? And so I saw an article in Business Week about social venture partners. And I thought, what the heck? You know, I'll join, I'll try it out, see what it's like. And always be careful what you try. So I went to the first meeting. I looked around the room. I was a total newbie, couldn't spell philanthropy. I had kind of really no idea what it was. I'd done a little corporate philanthropy, but I just kind of told other people to go do it. And so I'm sitting around this table with all these people who have been doing it for years, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, I already joined, now what? And so they're all really smart, and they all seem to know what they were doing, so I just decided, okay, I'm going to start, I'm going to do something. I'm going to find some nonprofit that is so small, one person, that they've got to need help. And that's what I started with, a little organization called Reading Partners, which teaches, preschool kids and elementary school kids how to read. So that experience for me was great because, if you volunteer, things happen. So I said, I'll help you with a strategic plan. That's fine. Got a strategic plan. Then, well, you should join the board. Well, now you're on the board. Well, you should be the board chair. And before you know it, you're the board chair. But, I really had no experience in the space, but that experience got me started. So I just kind of jumped in the pool and said, I'll figure out how to swim as I go along. And that organization has grown 100-fold over the last 5 years. So it now has like 150 employees instead of one. So it was that experience that kind of got me going and gave me on-the-job training. And I think that's what's so great about what we do here is that you get on-the-job training. You can't go get a degree in nonprofit effectiveness. I mean, it doesn't really exist in how to grow world-class nonprofits. So for me, that experience was great, and that allowed me to get involved with a bigger organization and grow an organization that had a budget from about 50 million to about 250 million. And so that was great because then all of a sudden you're making contacts with all of these different people because you have to raise a lot of money when you're that big an organization. So you get to know all the people in large foundations and all the people in small foundations and all the people who run, venture capital-like firms for nonprofits. So it really allowed me to get connected to the ecosystem all by jumping in the pool to help that first one-person nonprofit. So for me, it's been an interesting journey just kind of being pulled along by the necessity of finding great causes, getting passionate about those causes, and letting that kind of gravity drag you along. And I think the same kind of situation I've had, I've seen it in other people, and I actually see it happening in the whole field right now. Because we're living in this era, right, where there's these huge challenges, right? They're this big. And the way that we're addressing them is not that big, right? So there's this kind of chasm in what we need to do versus what we are doing. And that's a big opportunity. So every time I read it's a bad time in the paper, I think to myself, hallelujah. Okay, I want it actually to be a bad time because bad times stimulate creativity. And that's what the people in this room are about. So whether you've never heard about SVP before or you've been a partner since 1997, this is a fundamentally important time because it requires great creativity. We're living in an area of constraints. We have to figure out how to realign human capital and financial capital and great programs to make stuff happen. And when we talk to other organizations in the space, whether it's the Gates Foundation or the Hewlett Foundation or small foundations, everybody's kind of realized this. Okay, nobody can do it by themselves. So it brings up this fundamental opportunity of how we can work together. And as Paul mentioned, this is a network. It started in Seattle in 1997. I'm from the Bay Area, so it started in Silicon Valley in 1998. A number of other West Coast partnerships started in 1999, and it's now grown to 26 cities, 2,200 people. And because there's this real interest in collaborating right now, we expect that network to really probably double in size. So going from 2,000 plus partners to about 4,000 plus partners over the next 4 years. And that'll happen both as we add more people in existing cities, but we aggressively look to new cities that we can grow into. Since we started on the West Coast, we're heavy on the West Coast, and we really want to broaden out in the East Coast and also into the Midwest. But when we look at what the opportunities are, they're pretty profound. So number one is people want to play with us. People who didn't really care who we were before, because now they see we have something that's so phenomenal. we have given a platform for an individual with talent and energy to get engaged and to develop that talent to whatever level that they want to. So we are a platform of human capital, and we are the biggest in the world platform of human capital to help solve social problems. So therefore, we're highly able to partner, and we'll see this organization really kind of flourishing in terms of who it can partner with, in terms of what I would call the established players, whether they be the foundations or the United Ways of the world, the early venture capital firms for nonprofits, of which there's about a half dozen around the US that are very eager to partner with us because we have that leadership component that their best and brightest organizations need. And to partner with other organizations, be they academic or elsewhere, really to expand the reach of the network. But as we've been thinking over the last years and trying to distill down, what is it that happens to us and what is it that we're really doing here within our social venture partnership? And we spent a lot of time analyzing that over the last year, and it came down to kind of three things. The first thing that we're really doing is, yes, we're helping nonprofits, but what we're really doing is unleashing human potential. At the very core, that's what we're doing. We're providing a platform and a time and a place for people to get engaged to the level that they want to get engaged with. And that forces you to stretch. It forces you to stretch individually because you have to ask yourself kind of, I did this, and that was fun, and now I'll do this, that's going to be more fun, right? And you continue to grow. And then as we just saw in the breakout exercise, you start to connect. And as Paul said, he came in tired, and before the program started, he was energized. And it's that connection that really is a source of energy and self-renewal. So for me, again, it's this really exciting time for where we're at. And I think this unleashing of human potential, this stretching and this connecting are really the levers in what I'll call this kind of ripple effect. Because what I've seen, from my personal experience is just start somewhere, okay? And then the second thing that I've really learned as I've gotten more deeply involved is, what we're doing here is philanthropy, but it's so much more than that. Okay, when I look at this, we're building great companies, what we heard about earlier. They just happen to be nonprofit companies, which means it's harder to do. They don't make a profit. It's hard to build great nonprofit companies. But when you do it well, you create hundreds and thousands and tens of thousands of new jobs. So the SVP network, since it started in 1997, we've given away $40 million. Okay? We've given hundreds of thousands of volunteer hours. But I think more and more of that is we've probably created many tens of thousands of jobs. And as part of that process, we've helped cradle solutions, to incubate solutions to some of society's most vexing problems. So I see what we're going to be doing over the next 5 years is really saying, how do we take these assets and how do we connect people across the US and across the world who care about social change? How do we allow them to go even deeper into their own communities to affect change? And how do we allow them to work together collectively, okay, across space and time to be able to leverage what we can do on a national and international basis? So for me, it's really kind of an exciting time. It'll kind of come back to what we started here. I mean, what is so powerful and what I saw in the breakouts is just that ability to connect with people, to reframe the way that you think about people and problems, and to just step back and say, I think I can do that. I'm just going to go out there, follow my heart, follow my passion, let that be the guide, and I'll walk my way to where I can realize my full potential. So I'm extremely excited. I'm very happy to be here tonight to just give you a little bit of flavor about it. But the last thing I want to close with is that in 2007, I had been a partner for a couple years, and I'd been mostly in my own geography. And in 2007, there was the conference for all the social venture partnerships. All 26 cities came together in Seattle. And I came to my first meeting, and I came down to my first breakfast, and I kind of walked in the room, and I looked at all these human spark plugs bouncing off each other. And I just thought to myself, this is amazing. I mean, I've never seen so many incredible people. And I had this kind of reflection of, what's really happening here? And I was thinking to myself, well, I know what's happening. Because normally when you're out in town, there's a lot of smart people in town, but, it's kind of a 60-watt light bulb world. It's 60-watt bulbs. And I'm walking in this room, it's like 1,000-watt floodlights in my face, for 3 days. But to me, when I went away, I said, do I want to live in the 60-watt world or do I want to be with the 1,000-watt bulbs? And I think I want to be with the 1,000-watt bulbs. So on that note, just about a year from now will be the next network-wide conference. And for me, it was a transformational event. Because when I came back from that conference, I got deeply involved in my partnership, and I've been sharing that for the last 3 years, and then I've got deeply involved in the network. So it really kind of showed me the potential. So mark your calendars. It's November 8th to 10th next year in Portland, just a 3-hour drive, not far. Wine tasting is included, and a lot of 1,000-watt bulbs. Thank you very much.